We begin today with our focus on Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, where the internal crisis rocking the party has finally consumed the national chairman, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, after a Makurdi High Court order restraining him from parading himself as the national chairman of the party was eventually given a boost by the National Working Committee, which eventually announced Umar Damagun as the acting national chairman, pending the determination of the substantive suit, while asking Iyorchia Ayu to step aside. Now, the Damagun-led NWC also reversed Ayu's suspension of key members of the PDP, like former President of the Senate, Pius Anyim Pius, and former Governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, and former Governor of Katsina State, Ibrahim Shema. Meanwhile, the Igorov ward executives in Boko local government area that suspended Iyorchia Ayu has also been suspended by the Benue PDP State Working Committee. And all of this, we've seen reconciliation efforts being put in place by the Damagun-led Acting National Working Committee. Well, joining us now in the studio to take a look at the state of health of Nigeria's main opposition, the PDP, and then, of course, the reconciliation efforts by the acting executive, especially led by Umar Damagun, is Debo Ologunagba, who is the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP. He's also a lawyer and former two-term member of the House of Representatives. Thank you so much for joining us. So how are you embarking on this reconciliation effort? Because there seems to be a civil war, a full-blown civil war in the PDP, and a lot of Nigerians are asking questions because the state of health of Nigeria's main opposition actually determines how our democracy is moving at the moment. You are in court against the governing APC, and then, of course, the Labour Party is in court against the results of the presidential election. But it looks like your house seems divided, and some people say it's affecting your concentration on the court case.
Somna, thank you very much, and good evening, Nigerians. And perhaps the starting point would be to appreciate Nigerians for what they've done for the PDP. Because we know that they voted for the PDP. We acknowledge the fact that, yes, we had issues with regards to coming together into the election. But what we are doing at this phase right now is to know that you don't change the beginning by looking back. But what you can do, you can change the ending by taking steps now. And that's what we're doing. I have always said to you here that reconciliation is an ongoing process. And at any stage in life, particularly for a political party, there must be need for you to have reconciliation, because political party is comprised of people and different interests, different considerations, and at some point they will clash. But what is important is that we have a party that is based on rules and procedures and process and has the capacity and the willingness to galvanize its membership. Yes, we went to the election with some challenges, which is true. It was there.
There are huge challenges.
Yes, there were challenges. Yeah, but it is the capacity of a party or any organization to surmount that. Because, like I said earlier, you don't go back to change the beginning. What you can do is to start to change the ending. And that's what this process has started with. Now, we have now a National Working Committee with a new acting national chairman, a diplomat, a man who deploys his capacity as an ambassador, His Excellency Ambassador Umar Damagun. And you can see under the current, because I won't come here on the national TV and tell you this is what we're doing, but I do know he's been working the phones. He's been talking. Yeah,
but some people will say that when Iyorchia Ayu fell sick and he went abroad the other time, he handed over to the same Damagun to take charge. And so when the same National Working Committee decided to ask Iyorchia Ayu to step aside, The thought was that Damagum is Ayu's man. I mean, if Ayu could ask him to stand in for him while he was sick the other time, it looks like Ayu just stepped aside for Damagum to step in, and Damagum will virtually be doing everything that Ayu has been doing, because your National Working Committee, including Damagum himself and yourself, we are part of the people who suspended these top PDP leaders who are now being recalled from suspension by the same set of NWC. The NWC hasn't changed.
It's the capacity of any institution to do a self-assessment depending on the circumstances that you find yourself. We as a party, we recognize that. Those actions are not to say we're condoning those actions. And if
you were part of the actions.
Oh, absolutely.
You were part of the resolution that led to the suspension of this person.
Absolutely.
Or are you saying it was solely Ayu's decision?
No, it is. Look, you have an organic institution. The capacity to review yourself is the strength. And that's why we had issue with INEC. Section 65 of the Electoral Act said to INEC, you can review your process. And they have 7 days to do it.
7 days to do that.
And they didn't do that. And now we're in a quagmire as a nation, where we have issue of the credibility, the integrity of our process. And it's all over the world, not me saying that.
Yeah,
so,
just quickly before you answer that question, what would you have expected INEC to review the results to?
No,
to hand it over to Atiku or to Peter Obi?
No, to follow the law.
And what's the law in this
instance? The law is that when there are issues, there are observations, there are concerns, there are complaints, you listen.
Should have been declared inconclusive.
No, what we're saying that why declare at 4 a.m.? That's not a secret society operation. When there are complaints, you remember the INEC chairman did say to the whole world that, okay, you know what? Let's continue this collation. We'll take the objections. And then at the end of it, we'll consider it. When everybody went to sleep, he declared.
Yeah, very well. I mean, I was at the National Coalition Center when INEC chairman said that that he will review the results
absolutely
at the end of the election. But now, let's go back to the National Working Committee.
Again,
was it the same thing that happened?
After looking at some
of the errors and all of that, or Ayu's alleged misjudgment, you decided to review that result?
Because this party is, the NWC is comprised of several professionals with integrity. And I'll tell you this. But your capacity as a body to review yourself, we said in that statement that in the spirit of reconciliation, right? It does not mean we were wrong in that decision. But we're saying in the spirit of overall interest of the party, and not just the party, in Nigeria, because we know that Nigerians were disappointed in the sense that the hope was on PDP. That this is a party that is well known, that is in every local government in this country, and they were looking up to us to do that which was necessary. We didn't do as much as they expected of.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are surprised that you shared 66 million with a party that just came to life just about 6 months before the election. The Labour Party, looking at your results after the presidential election and that of the Labour Party.
No, looking at the results.
That Nigeria's main opposition party
can I make a correction?
Share figures the same with a party that just rose up in
clarification so that we don't forget the sequence. We shared, according to you, a result as declared by INEC with the massive irregularity happening in every other state where the vote of PDP will deliberately depress. And for a purpose, we understand this. So it will not be a fair reflection. That's why that review is necessary. That's why we're happy that we're before the courts. And the PDP is diligently following that. And they know it. That's why you see the shenanigans going on in the country. Putting some booby traps here and say this and then throwing tantrums. The courts are there. They are Nigerians. They're not from the moon. They witness it. This is on the public domain.
And the government and the governing party are saying that it looks like there are plans by some of you in the opposition to actually scuttle the inauguration.
If you recall this, we said this is a series of actions that the APC orchestrated. You recall about October when the foreign embassies gave an advisory to their citizens, and what the president of the APC gave, no, it's not true. Then they orchestrated the DSS to arrest the CBN governor. One of them, a man who wanted to be president under their party. They wanted to arrest him. It was to create some level of tension in the country because they know they were not going to win the election. They know they were not ready for the election. They wanted to create this, and we warned as a party that these are all series of setup to create the semblance of insecurity,
so that booby traps for the opposition.
So for the country, not just for so that they can have a third term agenda in another scheme. For us, we said no. Then we wrote. We didn't just say there was a statement. We said, look at these booby traps. This is planned, and we don't want that to happen. But back to our party, because that's very important, is that the reconciliation effort is ongoing. Your network, one of our elder statesmen, Chief Body George, and you could see the messaging from all the statement. It was all about reconciliation, because indeed we must. Why? Because we have other elections. Two, the existence and the well-being and the health of PDP is the sustainable democracy in Nigeria. Because the APC, like I always say, it's not a party, it's a business venture. They will do anything to kill any opposition. But we know we have a duty to Nigerians. And that's why these rapprochements are going on, and it will continue. And we're already seeing signals of that. People are the temperatures beginning to come down. And with the dexterity of the acting national chairman working behind the scene, because that's when you get results. It's not when you go on the pages of newspaper, on the TV, to grandstand. We don't do that.
Well, let's talk about some of the results that have come in from the governorship election. I mean, you won Zamfara State,
yes,
and some other states where you were saying, PDP having senators elect, House of Rep members elect. What's the PDP's general assessment of the governorship election? We've heard that of the presidential election, but what's the PDP's general assessment?
It is the same assessment of the direct complicity or incompetence or sabotage mood of INEC. Look, come to say about this. When people vote and they know their vote counts, you can see excitement. We saw that in Abia, even though we are challenging the result for some other reasons, but again, you see the people acceptance.
But your outgoing governor has already said he's not prepared to challenge that, although the state executive of the PDP.
Whatever. I mean, that is his own statement. He's entitled to his own view. We do this review constantly. But I want to make some specific example of where there were attempts and actual complicity with INEC to deprive the PDP of victory. Adamawa State. The margin of error. A candidate is listening with over 31,299 Saturday. The difference.
Well, INEC says it's
inconclusive. I'm just giving you an example. It's on tape. And it's in the public domain, not me saying that.
Yeah, I mean, we have that difference between your candidate, the governor, the incumbent governor Fintri, and the APC
you're
candidate.
You're just asking me for the analysis of what you feel. I'm giving you specifics. So that gives you that it's a pattern of an institution, INEC, that made up his mind for some reason. And they will deal with that at appropriate time, where they deliberately sabotage this process. And I'll give an example of Adamawa State. It is on tape, and it's in the public domain, where the resident electoral commissioner called, it's on tape, the electoral officer in Fofore local government, asking that the candidate of APC should be helped at all costs.
Well, that has been denied. And
well, it's on tape.
That audio, I mean, cannot be verified.
Well, it's okay. Just, but again, for it to even
an
exist.
Audio that was cooked up.
Okay, well, let's talk.
How about the issue of Kebbi State, too? I mean, which is also another inconclusive election.
Yeah,
What's the
and I was going to talk about, no, because you see, when you begin to just come up and they run into trouble. When you're still in a hurry, that kind of thing that happens. Look at Ogun State. The Ogun State, they imagine you can't. In that situation, you cannot. But they went ahead and declared.
So Ogun State should have been declared inconclusive?
Absolutely, because those are the same templates. Because you cancel elections, you don't want to disenfranchise anybody and the provisions of the law are so clear. Section 24 of the Electoral Act 2022 is so clear about the procedure.
But how about Enugu State? I mean, when the difference between your candidate, Peter Mba of the PDP, and the Labour Party's candidate is just like about 3,000 votes, and the Labour Party too is raising issues.
Absolutely.
Would you have loved that to have been declared inconclusive?
We expect, the scenarios are different. You're talking about the number of leads. You will recall that in the last cycle in 2019, Governor Tambuwal was declared with about 360 votes.
Yes.
As long as there's no violation of the law, you can win with one vote. What is important? Have you met the constitutional requirement? If yes, the difference makes no effect. You can win with a vote. You can win even presidential election with a vote. So that is not the same thing as what happened in Ogun State, in Zamfara, in Kebbi State, and in Adamawa State. That's why we said, if the assessment, and of course, this is not about what PDP says. Go through all the international newspapers. One will feel really pained that that's the assessment of INEC, a body that is key to the sustenance and development of democracy. And that's why integrity and credibility is key to these positions.
All right.
And that is a perception.
As we try to round off this conversation, Debo, let's talk about the reconciliatory efforts of Umar Damagum and the National Working Committee now. What next? You have 2 elections to be concluded, and then, of course, some senatorial and House of Reps and state constituencies that are left. How is the National Working Committee under Damagum going to ensure that you don't miss out on winning some of these elections or even all of them, and then create an atmosphere where members of the PDP can trust their party to be able to do the right thing, especially the leadership of the party? Because we are seeing lots of division, and then your presidential candidate, lots of people have been putting hopes on him to be able to resolve this issue, but it looks like he's sticking to IU has just made some people to stay away from him.
Again, I mean, these are conjecture. You are thinking it looks like. I don't want to comment on that, but I can tell you what we're doing in the NWC. I have just ruled out the capacity and the credentials of the acting national chairman, Umar Damagum, and you can see that already happening. The South-South region of our party, they came out with a communique where they endorsed his leadership, where they encouraged that there must be more reconciliation. So already, and South-South is key. We have a lot of challenges in the South-South. So that means we're making progress. Like I said, there are behind the scene activity going on, and it's right there, speaking to everyone that is important, every stakeholder, every organ of the party, and we're doing a review step by step.
One of the things I was so happy about during the week is when I saw a tweet by Osita Chidoka, who's one of your strategists, saying that Atiku Abubakar asked him to get in touch with Peter Obi of the Labour Party to form some sort of understanding. And I want to understand, is there a sort of coming back together between the PDP and Labour Party?
I do know that.
On a personal level between
I believe, because I can't speak to that, but I can say to you that we, in the interest of this country and democracy, will be willing to speak to anybody or any party that wants democracy to succeed. And in doing that, you must be talking. You see, hope is a superpower. When we speak and talk to ourselves, there's hope that yes, we can get together. And that's exactly what you're seeing happening now in our party. I can tell you that we're making sure little steps. You asked the question, what are we doing with the elections coming? These are undercurrent that will support that system. And you will see that we'll do well. Particularly since Nigerians actually voted for PDP in those states. Well, and I can tell you that.
It's left for the courts to decide.
Absolutely.
Now, just before I let you go, Debo, let's talk about that statement by the DSS. Saying that, look, there are plans by the opposition, by politicians to scuttle the inauguration. And the APC is fighting back and saying that, look, even when we have had this sort of scenario, including 2007 with Yar'Adua, Yar'Adua was sworn in while the court case was ongoing. What is the PDP making out of all of this, and how do we move forward so that the reconciliation stretches out nationwide, not just within the PDP?
No, we continue with our reconciliation. But we believe in the rule of law. We believe that the courts should be allowed to do their job. We think DSS, like I said, they're playing scripts. The DSS is supposed to be a covert organization. So when do they come to tell us this is happening? It's to test the pause. But as a party, we have said we will not be part of an unconstitutional government, by whatever name called.
Including if you are asked to be a part of a government of national unity.
We're not just interested in being in government, we're interested in democracy and that the rule of law must be obeyed and that when we set up rules and there's a constitutional provision, it must be obeyed. And that is where you get order. If you think about personal interest, then of course the corporate interest suffers. So it's not about individual here. It's not about a party. It's about this country. It's about sustenance of democracy. It's about our integrity and how do they see us in the world.
So you're not objecting to the swearing in of the president-elect on May 29th?
I have said that this process must be in accordance with the law, and we know what the law is with the Constitution, and it's before the courts. We allow the courts to follow due process and do that which is right, particularly in the interest of the country, the democracy, and in fact, how we're viewed in the world. Where if you have a credibility issue, then we're back to square one, and we don't want to be there. The right thing must be done. INEC must be held accountable, because this country could not have spent 350 billion thereabout on INEC only to get this. We've tested all this. Beavers worked in the other election, it didn't work in presidential election. We need to ask questions, and there's need for that.
All right, what a better place to actually live it there. INEC is in the eye of the storm. A lot of Nigerians want to know what those monies were used for, and of course some of the questions you've raised here. But good to know that you're in court to challenge all of this, and it's left for INEC to actually say or speak to the documents that you have before the courts. We must thank you so much, Debo Ologunagba, who is the National Publicity Secretary of Nigeria's main opposition, the People's Democratic Party, for joining us. We'll go on a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be going to our Lagos studio, where we'll be talking about the Imo State controversy, which is trailing the INEC's release of Imo North Senatorial District elections, and one of the candidates crying foul, and he happens to belong to the PDP. We'll hear from him why the APC was declared winner, and of course his objections. Stay with us.